Greetings, this is Jim Copple, and I'm with the Seeker blog. The Seeker blog attempts to address or have a conversation around all things political, spiritual, economic, and social. It really is to explore topics that incite some thinking and perhaps explore some innovation in the way we approach different issues in our life. I'm often asked by faith-based groups or nonprofit organizations how often they should do strategic planning, what's the importance or significance of strategic planning, and where do I really begin. And I want to take just a few moments to really emphasize that the first phase of strategic planning is doing a needs assessment. What is it that you are addressing in your community? What is your community? What do they look like? What are the demographics, the social economic conditions of your environment? Be very specific. Data is extremely important in this process. And the more data you can collect, the more effective you will be both in your planning as well as in your implementation. Be sure that you set goals and targets that are realistic and that are actionable or can actually be implemented. Too often our goals or objectives are abstract. They are not actionable because we don't set timelines and we don't hold people responsible for implementing those targets or those goals. Just determine specific roles and responsibilities for anybody that's involved in the project. That includes your boards, your staff, your donors or your supporters, and your end users. Participatory involvement in strategic planning is a valuable tool when you get your end users or the people that you're serving involved in that process. Establish a realistic return on investment, the amount of money that you're actually spending in this process, what kind of outcome will you expect, and is it really worth it? I often use the phrase, you've got to measure the grief to benefit ratio. Is it how much work are you putting into it and what's the benefit that you're going to achieve coming out of the process? But critical, and it's a really important piece to emphasize, is collecting good information. Know what the issues are in your community. It could be high unemployment. It could be a food desert where there's inadequate food resources for the community. It could be substance abuse or drug abuse, depending on your community. Drug abuse is prevalent in most, if not all, communities. But in your specific neighborhood, it may be opioids, it may be methamphetamine, it may be alcohol. Know what the business components are within your community. What kind of businesses serve your neighborhood. Get into that data, get very specific, get granular in that process. Once you've done that kind of analysis, you can then set those goals and objectives that are truly actionable. I hope this has been helpful to get you to think about strategic planning. All churches, all nonprofits, all organizations should have a process where they're doing strategic planning. And by the way, I advise you to stay away from long-term strategic plans, such as 5-year plans. Probably the longest in a strategic plan is 2 years. We live in an accelerated environment where things are constantly changing. And so you need to be responsive or be able to speak into those rapid changes. This is Jim Copple with the Seeker blog, and look forward to talking to you in the future.